you may notice that things are getting to the point where like you are becoming extremely picky about who you even want to have in your energy. And I think that like maybe you could energetically feel it in the past where, you could be like, this person's kind of annoying or kind of irritating, but maybe you thought that like, I don't know, maybe for some reason of like loyalty or you trying to be a good person and not be judgmental, it's like you sort of ignored that or overlooked that. Like I am getting that maybe you thought that you were being too judgmental or something in the past. But now I think you're realizing that your hunches were not based on superficial things. I think your mind went there to sort of process the feelings that you were having because maybe you weren't like as tapped into your spiritual side as you are now or something. Or you weren't even aware that you did have spiritual abilities at the time. Everyone kind of has them, but whatever. But yeah, it's like you were getting confirmation now uh about like the reason why certain people like make you like rub you the wrong way, and it wasn't just like you being superficial or like assuming things on about based about them or whatever. Like I'm getting that people are going to be, I don't know, there is something coming through about like you allowing yourself to be picky now and like phasing out of a time of your life where like the concept of being like spoiled in particular is like a bad thing, because why would that be a bad thing if you like know your value or whatever. And I think that's part of the reason why people don't like when, like I don't know how exactly those people's minds work or whatever, but like I guess when somebody sees the potential or something, I don't know, it's like people are more self-aware about their problems and their issues than you think they are, especially when compared to when they are like constantly like, I don't know, they're so insecure that they have to compare themselves to you. um that's always weird. Like if you see those messages that are like, oh, your former, like the last person you were in a relationship with was in competition with you. And I know that can be really confusing, especially if you're like a feminine who was with like a masculine or something. You'd be like, why would he be like jealous or insecure or in competition with me? Like it doesn't make any sense. But like um the simplest answer is probably right, even though it may like, it's sort of like the answer that is like the easiest conclusion to come to, but like you're like, nah, there's no way that's the truth. That's probably what it is. That's honestly probably why. But not just about that. I'm getting that like you're realizing that you can trust your intuition when you get a bad feeling about people, because I'm getting that some people that you gave a chance to or whatever are again like in action revealing to you. And maybe it was something that like couldn't have been revealed in the moment because like things needed to develop or whatever. Like you could have even been like intuitively picking up on who that person would develop into, right? And like, you were like predicting the fact that, you were not gonna I was going to say you're not going to like F with, like, but you were not going to like be a fan of or even like want to associate with or feel any sort of like camaraderie or companionship with the person that they're growing into. And I think that like maybe you hoped that they would grow in another direction based on your like positive influence or whatever, but you may be seeing proof that like you didn't influence them. You weren't able to guide them away from the dark. I don't know how dark the path is that they're on, but it's definitely like it's giving that like you kind of wanted to be a positive influence on certain individuals by proximity, I guess, to like push them into like a more higher minded state. So that includes like not wanting people to like you don't want to be around people who are overly concerned with shit that like doesn't matter. Like I keep getting this message today, like somebody who's like obsessed with like gender, like, and not in that way of like, discovering their gender identity. It's always like, someone like who's like obsessed with like discussing that whole um like it's giving that somebody's FYP or their like social media just looks differently than yours, and then like their shit is just like filled with like negative, low vibrational, like divisive stuff one way or another. And like you just like think that like that's just like not important, like it's a distraction. There's definitely infinite number of things that you can care about more. It's sort of like, hey, how about we like, instead of sit here debating about like, I don't know why males and females are having such a hard time connecting and getting along during this era, which is an illusion anyway, and it's like a projection of the media. I don't know, like, I don't know. It's like a mental worm that, like, once somebody like believes that, or like it's like if somebody's like in a space of insecurity or whatever, or like a weak thing, it's easy to like accept like an earworm like that and be like, oh, that explains why I'm miserable in life. And then they're like, oh, then that means that I'm miserable in life because of those people who are making me miserable. But they were miserable before they even knew that was a concept. You're miserable by yourself in your own room, then that has nothing to do with anybody else, obviously. But it's giving somebody who's like, you may be around people who are obsessed with like discussing things that just like don't matter to you. You know what I mean? It's giving like you want to like discuss like, I don't know, uh how to glow up physically, financially, like internally, mentally. You want to like discuss the logistics of like building a business. You want to like um you know, talk about, you want to talk to somebody about like, oh, how do we, let's keep each other accountable in regards to our goals so, we can progress together, right? Those are productive uses of your mental energy. Even if you don't want to like constantly seek after something else, you can always like, focus the conversation on like increasing your emotional fulfillment instead of like basically like, I feel like you're around people who are sort of like, they have the, hold on, it's like they are, those people are obsessed with talking about that low vibrational shit because they're obsessed with finding some way to like displace the blame for their lack of emotional fulfillment somewhere other than on themselves or on their parents, who they may be unwilling to hold accountable for their like childhood trauma, which is going to set them back. Okay, so like it's somebody who like deep down knows the truth about why they're so unhappy in their life, but they refuse, and like their ego is so like fragile that like they're under the impression that they would just spiral and like be unable to get back up mentally if they were to acknowledge the truth and like take responsibility for the reason why they're unhappy in their life. I would say that like as somebody who like was like literally adopted at birth and then kind of like kicked around like a football for most of my life by the people around me, I'm not sitting around like blaming them or like for any like difficulties that I went through or whatever. I just like don't care, because obviously it's fully within my control to like repair the damage or whatever, and then regardless of how long that takes, so like, so you may feel that way too. It's like getting to the point, I think that you've like done so much inner work on yourself and so much healing, and I think that like your healing is like taking a shape differently than what you thought it was going to be. Like maybe at the beginning of it you thought you were going to be like always cheerful all the time and like, understanding of any and all things, but some things like you can be understanding of something and still not want it anywhere near you, right? So I think that like you may not have expected that like the stronger your energy gets in a certain direction, and like the more you lean into like, I guess like some sort of consistency that is like bringing you closer to your goals, you literally are like developing like an allergy, or in a like it's giving like not just an aversion, because it's giving you like have a physical reaction to like the like tracks of conversation that some people have that are just like so deeply irrelevant to you that you just like cannot bear or stand to be around them. And that could be in alignment with like the whole concept of pick-me's and stuff like that. You are probably like, stuff like that is just like stupid. Like anything that has to do with like labeling or overgeneralizing people based on their behavior or something like that, without like actually understanding each individual like as a person, it's like anything like that just I think is like rubbing you the wrong way, and you don't want anything to do with it. And that may be isolating if like everyone around you is like that, but obviously we're all going to like attract the people we're meant to have in our life, but you have to clear out the people who aren't meant to be there first.